right, I'm going to do some sample circle problems because so many of you are absent today. Here's the first one. Problem 1. You have to find measure E, F, and G, and you're given measure D. So what I like to do is look at what I'm given, and that's an inscribed angle. So if I just trace over it so you can follow along with me. What I know is that inscribed angle intercepts arc BC. Okay, so we know that the measure of an inscribed angle, in this case D, is always equal to half the measure of its intercepted arc, which is arc BC. So the measure of angle D has to be half of BC, and we know that this is 50. So if we multiply both sides by 2, we get that the measure of BC is equal to 100 degrees. So as far as all of this work, really, that should be a quick mental math step. But I'm just writing it down so you can follow along with me. So when I see an inscribed angle to be 50, I'm going to look for its intercepted arc. And then right away write down that it's 100, or double whatever the angle is. So the reason that helps me is I'm looking for angle, let's say E, and if you do the same process with E, you notice that E also intercepts this arc. So since E and D intercept the same arc, we didn't really need this step, although I think it's helpful as an intermediate step for you to understand. But E and D intercept the same arc, so E and D have to be the same value. So is F and G and H, because if you look at each of these, for example, if I take a look at H, well, H is this inscribed angle, and it still intercepts the same arc. So all of these are 50 degrees, because all of them intercept the same arc. Looking at number 2, we have another inscribed angle right here. I don't know if you can see that. Be a little bit bigger. And then, so we know that that inscribed angle is half the arc it intercepts. So this is 100 degrees. And when I look at the question, I'm really looking for EB. So one thing that I need to notice is A is the center. So CB is a diameter. And so the measure of CEB is 180 degrees. So 180 degrees, take away 100, gives me 80 degrees. And that's the measure of EB. All right, so since these are congruent, I know that this is 80 degrees. So this has to be 100 degrees for the same reason. So that has to be 50 degrees. Okay, third problem. Another inscribed angle. So looking at this inscribed angle, that's our given information here. And we want POQ. So we want to find the central angle. And what I know is that since this is 62, I know this is 124 degrees. Because R is the inscribed angle for that arc. And so O has to also be 124 degrees because it's a central angle. And number 4, I'm trying to find angle B. So what I have to do is kind of look at, again, inscribed angles, because the 85 doesn't really help me yet, but if I look at this inscribed angle here, hard to see. I know that this arc is 64 degrees because it's double to 32. So that's from A to B. And so that tells me that when I look at this inscribed angle, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this arc here and I'm going to find the angle that goes with it, and that's this angle. And so I take that arc and it's going to be, this gives me that angle, which is half of 64 degrees, which is 32 degrees. So angle C equals 32 degrees. And therefore angle B plus 85 degrees plus 32 degrees has to be 180 degrees. Because of the triangle there. And so when I add those up, I get 117 degrees plus angle B is equal to 180. And so I'm just going to subtract 117 from 180. And that's going to be 63 degrees. So angle B is 63 degrees. Okay, this is a cyclic quadrilateral. Barely fit that. So that means all 4 vertices are on the circle. And so that also means, because of that, opposite angles have to be supplementary. So if this is 69, this has to be the supplement of 69, which is 111 degrees, because 111 plus 69 adds to 180. And then that's this. Okay. But if I want to find the arc XY, so I want this arc here, well, I can use this angle here. And I know that 2 times 69 degrees is equal to the measure of RWY. So 138 is equal to the measure of RWY. But when I look at my given information up here, I know that WX is 50 degrees. So I'm gonna take that 138 and I'm gonna say that that's equal to 50 plus the measure of our xy. Because these together make WY. So I'm going to subtract the 50 degrees here. And I get 88 degrees for the measure of arc X, Y.